Today, we are going to read an historical document for our reading assignment. Now, remember, in the previous video, I said summertime, you want to expand your horizons, read nonfiction. If you want to read fiction, just go ahead and watch a movie because, summertime, you want to come back to the semester a little bit more well-rounded and more solid. And you just want to be overall knowledgeable in life. You want to always be able to contribute something to a conversation. So with that said, there's a couple words I want you to add to your lexicon, and I have them highlighted and we're going to go over them. But today we're going to read the Declaration of Independence. This is a very important document. This is our nation's founding document. This is the document that established this nation when a couple of men had declared their independence from the King of Great Britain. It was signed on July 4th, 1776. Now, one thing that I don't want to do anymore is take knowledge for granted. Everybody doesn't know the things that I believe that they should know. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and say, that's why we celebrate Independence Day on July 4th, because this document was signed on July 4th. And also, it was signed in Philadelphia. And I believe it was. And on 1776, this is where the NBA franchise, the Philadelphia 76ers, get their nickname from. Okay, so that's just a little bit of trivial information. Now, this is not long. Let's try to knock this out in 5 minutes. We want to watch for punctuation, case, and syntax, which is sentence structure. And we want to read carefully. Remember, when you're reading, you're listening to somebody speak. So you really want to understand what the person is saying. Communication works two ways. One person speaks, the other person understands. All right, we want to raise our reading comprehension and our listening skills. All right, so let's go ahead and start. All right. The unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence, indeed, will dictate the government's will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. And accordingly, all experience has shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove This, let facts be submitted to a candid world. All right. That's all we're going to read from this. And we're going to address their grievances that they put in this document. We're going to do that in another video. But right now, I want you to know certain words that I highlighted. All right. So inalienable. You need to know what that means. That means that, cannot be taken or seized. And then another thing, self-evident. Sometimes we just read these words and, we just skim over them, not understanding what they mean. But self-evident, I want you to know what that means. And what else? Prudence. Prudence means good sense. Okay, so if you substitute that understanding, it will say good sense indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. All right, so transient means, things that change. So something that's going to change, you just let it change. You don't really, give a lot of attention to it because it's going to change. It's kind of like feelings. Feelings are very transient. Excuse me. All right. Also, this word usurpation, it means to take or make use without rights or without the right. Okay, so if I usurp somebody's position, let's say I go to my cousin's school and I go to his class and I just start teaching while the teacher is teaching, I usurped her. Okay, so you got to know what that means. Also, evinces, that means to make clear or to reveal. This was a kind of a tricky sentence to understand, but you got to understand what's the verb. And this is the verb right here. It means to make clear and to reveal. Despotism, it's an absolute oppressive power and authority exerted by a government. And sufferance, that just means, what you go through, what you endure. And that is all. Okay, so I want you to add those words to your lexicon. If you did not understand what they meant, look them up, look for the proper definition, look for the definition at the time that this article was written, and then look for synonyms. And then once you have a good understanding of the words, you want to substitute them back into the passage so you can get a clear understanding of what's said. All right. So later on, we're going to talk more about this in another video about, what this means for us. So until then, I will see y'all.